All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching TV47 Breakfast. Welcome back. And the countdown to 2027 general election has effectively begun. And in line with this, the Media Council of Kenya is preparing to launch new election reporting guidelines and an election media countdown aimed at promoting professional, fair and responsible election coverage. This is what we're talking about this morning with Victor Bwire. He's the Director, Media Training and Development at the Media Council of Kenya. We're talking about the lessons that we have learned from previous elections. And is the Kenya media ready for what lies ahead? And that is the conversation we want to unpack. Do interact with us through our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X is TV47 Digital. Our WhatsApp line is also open, 0793267279. If you do have any question for Mr. Bwire here as regards media coverage, then we do welcome you to be part of this conversation. Karibu tena, Victor, to studio. You're well?
Well, I thank God.
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Just let's start from this point, yeah? How would you rate us as media, as of 2026? We haven't talked this year. So from where you sit as the council, how would you rate the media in general?
Thanks. The eagerness is there. The associations, the Kenya Media Sector Working Group approach is there, people, but the newsroom preparation is not convincing yet. While Media Council, Kenya Media Sector Working Group, those are external players have already prepared, signed MOUs and the rest, but we don't see that preparation from the newsroom, the newsroom leaders, the journalists themselves who are in the newsroom. Because it's different to plan, and a lot of our plan for media houses, yet we don't work in the media houses.
Yeah.
So that, like here, have we already established an election reporting desk? Those are the preparations, because how do you start the election, the in-house? While the Media Council will release guidelines, but you see what is the preparation for TV47 in terms of election, the planning yourself. Because when it's easier for Media Council and other people to plan and say we want media to do this, but it's better if the media house them from inside. You know your resources, you know the capacity you have, you must already start the preparations yourself internally.
Yeah.
So that's what we are lacking. Even we have tried to call a meeting of newsroom leaders and editors themselves, just to start this conversation. That outside, people are already ahead, people are already thinking, the civil society is even thinking for media, everybody, but the media itself, it seems there's an inertia. The movement it's not, and even just looking at the by-elections that have happened last year and this year, you can see already the professional gaps, the in-house industry gaps are there. We released a report just the other day on the political coverage, and already the gaps are. So we request the media, the inside, what we are calling the newsroom leaders, you guys, you must start preparing that there's an election in 12 months' time. You might not fit, because even if Media Council launched guidelines today, and the TV47 or Cape Media General is not ready to use that guideline or to be trained, then it will just be, the capacity, we have 290 constituencies, for example. Your existing staff cannot. There must be an enhanced recruitment of staff to feed in, to support the team that is existing. Are there plans? Have the media houses planned a budget to bring on board, even if it's temporary staff, during the election? Because you might need 290, which sometimes is not possible. But are we seeing, like, for example, editors, media owners coming here talking about joint productions, joint recruitment? Those arrangements are there. And people are asking, as an industry, do we sometimes utilize technology, utilize goodwill to lower down our costs? Because if we ask, why would every media house in Kenya have a reporter in a polling station? Why could we, for example, come together as media and have pools and train a joint team that then is released? You have what is called a situation room. We get a room where all the media houses will have the KICC a field, and you get the data as a team. And what the internal media house should do is just now to verify the data and what. But if we say it, because we are saying we are picking results from the polling station, which media house will have a journalist in every polling station? It's impossible. Some of these things, like we're talking about the candidate debates, the presidential, senatorial, do we need all the OB vans when we are doing a presidential or a senatorial? We just need one, and which then can feed the others with a feed, you see, so that we also lower economies of scale. But if everybody is planning in a silo, everybody kept media, others, then you see, we might not be able to effectively, for example, cover the election, because election is too expensive, and for one person it's not easy. So we're already thinking, why should media already start thinking about joint productions, joint recruitments, trainings of staff, and things that can be done jointly. You know, there are things that have no exclusive. The result will just come, whether you are media, you support whichever part of the, the result will just be the result. So there are things we can do as a team, at individual level. For example, like I asked, already some newsroom, the thinking like last year, 2022 election, we helped media houses start election reporting desks, a full desk dedicated to just elections that leads the media house. But though later you'll bring in people from sports, from everybody, because it will be elections the most important thing. But who leads this team? So that's the kind of thinking, and we could see it if you checked the by-elections, for example, and even these public rallies that happen. You can obviously see gaps. I would tell you without even asking that I know media supporters from just the allocation of time, from the angle, you can easily pick and say, without even going into details. You see, that's true. And there's nothing wrong for media house to support any side. The thing we say that the media house supports the policies of a particular party.
Let's talk about the joint production. Do you think as media, in general, all these media stations, you are ready to go that route, to come together and, just give one coverage, as media, as opposed to, just sending every OB, as you talk about?
It's possible. It has happened before. During, for example, the presidential inauguration, all media houses, they only allowed in one media house, which then gave feeds. It has happened many times before that we don't need, right now with over 100 TVs in Kenya, even the numbers, so there are those critical things, like the presidential debates, for example, candidate debates, which were happening at Catholic University, and we just need one camera, but which we have seen it with football. KBC or Cable Media can get a link. We get links from BBC and broadcast here, Premier Leagues and what. So it is possible. It's just the mindset. That media for a long time, people do not look at it as a business that sometimes need to save and invest where the resources are critical. That we still think, because like a presidential inauguration or a presidential speech or the national prayers, once one media house is there with a link and gives the other one, what is impossible? It's just a link. Then you will pick whichever media house will pick the angle they want, but the link is one. If the president is live in State House, even if you took there 100 OB vans, will the speech change?
Are we that generous, as media? Because, I'm looking at it from a polygamous setup, a polygamous house, nyumba kubwa, nyumba ndogo, other media houses looking down on others. But are we all ready for this conversation as media?
That's what I'm telling you, it has happened before. It's not that it has never happened. During the presidential, when the President Donald Kasarani 4 years ago, they only allowed in multi-choice, and they gave a link to others. They did not allow all. Didn't it happen? It happened. Media Council is the one who is coordinating. So, and that thinking of egos and is what, because it's now, these are business. It's more than just an ego thing. That sometimes where it is possible, let's think in a way that makes media an effective player. Not just because 2017, for example, each media house tried to recruit staff to cover each constituency or polling session. Now 290 even pay, there was a problem. The people who are dispatched to the field never even came back with the results. So what we are saying, and it has happened in other countries, in fact Ghana has always been given as the best example, that once we recruit 600 reporters or whatever, or our agents as media, they are trained as a team. They are sent to the polling stations. But they release the results to a situation room. The situation room will be a room like this where all editors from all media houses are there. The results come as one, but as an editor now you pick. If you want to start with Mukrueni, The other one might want to start with this. Yeah, that's now your business. But we get the joint results through a joint portal, which all the editors have an access to.
Yeah.
So you see, so the agents in the field just send the data, the results as announced at the polling center. They are sent to the media situation room, a central control room where all the editors are there and they are represented. But now the picking of result or where you want to prioritize is now your individual decision as a media house. That me, I'll start with the cost. If Nation wants to start with the Turkana, that's it. But we have a pool of results that each of us has access. So where is the mistrust?
Yeah.
Most of you went to the same school. The fact that you work for Cape Media doesn't mean your colleague doesn't work in Royal Media. So where is this mistrust? We drink in one place, we walk. So what is the mistrust about?
Yeah.
If it's just join, if it can make us more effective, why should we mistrust ourselves?
Let's talk about this coverage that has become increasingly contentious. You know, some accuse the media of glorifying unrest, some accuse us of, glorifying or exposing abuse. So where do we draw the line as journalists when we're doing this coverage?
It is not the business of media to preach peace. You know, that's not part of what I learned in journalism, to preach peace. But it's the business of the media to remain professional, responsible, and what is objective in what they are reporting. That's the better thing. Because somebody makes a speech which might be dangerous or whatever it is. Yeah. You want media to hide that because it will look like it's bad. Or police officers shoot at people or journalists indiscriminately. You want the business of media to hide that. Is that their business? Many times, and you know, many times we say there's that principle in journalism called shock the nation. That if abuses are happening now and every now and nobody talks about it, the media can, after discussion, say, we will expose this for this reason. So media needs not to be apologetic. And media is not a red carpet job where you need praises every day. So long as you are doing, you have heard that adage that say that if you want to make people happy, that's PR. I mean, if you want to make people comfortable. But we are saying, even as you make them uncomfortable, it must be factual, truthful, and sensitive, you know, and responsible. It's not just helpless throwing of information. You know, it is a fact that Victor can harm you, and it's a fact. Hallelujah, it's a fact. It's a fact. So if I've done, must you go into detail saying Hallelujah kills Aluo? You see, much as is a fact. But you have a responsibility to ensure if I added in now the tribes, the story changes. It will incite other people. It will cause unnecessary. But saying it's suspected a man killed a lady, you stop it at that level. Yeah. That's the responsible thing we are saying. That you don't. There are details, even if they are factual, that might now cause more chaos than it ought to. And that as journalists we must be responsible. We must. You must be in a level where you know this is fact, but the context also matters. Because a number of the issues now we are getting, and I see everybody's kind, is a number of times people miss the context. That as a journalist, you must also, you can get facts, but look at the context, what is happening in the country now, and decide this story will be done kesho kutwa, and not because it's an. You remember 2013, during the election time, the day of voting, the first day of voting, suspected people attacked a polling station in Kilifi, killed the election official and carried away. It was a big thing. But editors sat and said, yes, it has happened, yes. But if we blew this story out, what will be the effect on the voting? You know, people will fear. So people decided, yes, it's a factual story, yes, it happened, we can't hide it, but it's not a story we're going to blow because it will have a negative effect. So that doesn't mean you have killed a story, but just deciding that, yes, I have these facts. But as a media house, what is happening in the country? So that when we blow the story or use it, it also speaks to the environment. Because and lessons are there, if this country were to go in turmoil, even the media will not operate. A number of you are highly trained. And we tell people, in Kenya right now, the minimum actually right now is a master's and first degree holders. We have people who have gone to school properly. So you have the capacity and the ability. That's why, as a journalist, you are not pipelines. Your work is not just to, Victor has come there and said this, and you, that's why you are a gatekeeper. The gatekeeping theory of the media, that you must get fact. Victor will tell you this, but you have a responsibility to then check did what Victor say makes sense or not. And you remember these things of now instantaneous live broadcast. It's even in the code, in the election guidelines, in the code of ethics, instantaneous live broadcast, we are telling you as broadcasters. It's not that it's banned, but it gives you room. If Victor is making a wrong statement, your producer, to help you cut out that. That's why we are saying 7 seconds delay. It's meant to, because you are live, you didn't know what I was going to say. I might say something that is harmful. But if we had the 7 seconds delay, 7 is a minimum. You can even decide as a station to go 30 seconds delay, that there's no instantaneous live, to save yourself against people who can make any statement that you did not plan for. So you see, also as a journalist, as a media house, you are preparing that there are people who come and get excited once they are on air. They can say anything. So how do we deal with this? That's why the Media Council in the Code of Ethics says 7 seconds a day, a minimum, so that it gives you room. Or sometimes this caller in, somebody can call, you don't know what somebody is calling from. We call and say a statement, you can't stop them on air. So that's why, again, we say media is teamwork. As you are here, your producer must be active and following. But many of us, they live here in the studio and disappear to go and take it, so that when somebody is making a mistake on air, there's no room for instant correction, you see. So those are the preparation we are saying, that journalists must know things must happen. So the preparation is bigger than the guests. Do you do a due diligence on the guests you bring here? Much as we want to be free, much as we want to allow everyone. But there are people who are known. If they come to this studio, what they said 5 years ago, it never changes. So the studios must also start building new leaders. We are stuck with old. It's just like the political parties. They are just recycling. This one resigned from these forms, another one. So we have been having the same names of political since I was born. It's just the same families, same names. We never change. That's the one that we must start building new leaders. The youth, how many youth do you bring here to talk about politics? But when we get stuck, we don't do diligence on the guests that we bring here in the studio. It also becomes a challenge, because they will come and bring trouble. Yet the station is the one now responsible. Victor came, made a weird statement. The station remains in trouble.
Are you noticing some sort of public mistrust as far as media coverage is concerned?
Not really, because the last study we released early this year, the trust in media is going up. And while even people talk about social media and the rest, most of the media houses and people struggle to say new media, old media, but what we have seen is media is the same. People are using now converged newsrooms that Cape Media or TV47. You have read here your online platforms. So what is this new media, not media? So the media is just the same. Even the people who are getting. So the trust is going up, but we have a more responsibility to do more. And election reporting is not different from other reporting. The journalistic expectations and are the same. But election comes with a lot of pressure, that a lot of things happening. How many people are calling you, they want to come to your show, which was not happening. There's a time we were struggling to get people to come to the show. But right now, everybody wants to come to the show. So that ability to say, Victor has been calling, what is it that he wants? So that due diligence as a team, you must already start doing that. As a preparer, that's why I was talking about your election desk. Because then you plan, if next week's discussion will be on this, you bring appropriate people for a discussion. Because a number of us also pretend to be experts in everything. And somebody wants just to be a resident analyst at TV47 discussing everything, climate change, politics, and many times they mislead because they even don't have time to prepare themselves. So would request and advise that once you start those teams, a team lead for the election, then he helps liaising with political parties, liaising with the IBC, liaising with other people, so that your shows are balanced. Because from what we saw from the previous by-elections and all, is that we're still stuck. For example, in Olkalau, you struggled to know the candidates themselves. It was about the president and Rigidi, and the politics was DCP and UDA. You are struggling to get the candidate, you are struggling to get the manifesto, what do they stand for? We are not giving this candidate to say anything about what they stand for. A lot was about the parties and the party leaders. You see, and that we are denying, because as media, when we are reporting elections, the guidelines say, give the candidate a fair chance to be heard, so that then the voters elect a candidate they know. You see, be fair to the political parties. They have spent their money. They have spent. Were we fair to the all? We had more than 10 candidates, by the way, I think, in Olkalau, but we were only hearing about 2. Yeah. I mean, are we fair to the other parties? Those are what we are saying, that even the election law, the Political Parties Act, the election law, the Media Council guidelines say you need to be fair to all candidates, give them a fair chance. As a journalist, you are not a participant in the elections. So we give the fair chance to the candidates to sell their marketplace of ideas approach. Allow so that then you're also fair to the voters. They understand and know who they are voting. Because a lot of what people complain about voting for candidates they do not know is this hoarding, that it is this party. It's dominant. And I was writing an article today, actually. I published an article in one of the newspapers today about the hoarding, that will the party primaries be fair? Already, a lot of these parties that have crying for zoning, saying they're already declaring candidates every day in those meetings. Yeah. So will the voters have a fair chance to get a candidate they want, or they have no choice, they must elect whoever the leaders have already chosen for them? You see, we are coming to party primaries, as you are aware, and you will see, will the media prepare to cover these primaries in a way that allows voters to get a fair chance to understand their candidates?
Let's expound on that by-election, as far as media, did their coverage for all these by-elections that we've seen as we head up to 2027, the gaps that you've seen that you'd want us, to work on moving forward.
Big time is the personality approach that we are using. That it's never, we are stuck with what is called game of strategy rather than substance of the election. The game of strategy is just the dancing, the matusi. We are just giving free microphones and airtime for politicians to insult each other, dance and do all that fun. But let's focus on the substance of the election. Like now, TV47, what will be their focus areas in this election? You see, like you have the 10-point agenda in your, so that when candidates come or aspirants, they talk about those issues, because media, TV47 stands for maybe social justice, rule of law. You must also isolate things that then, and that's why I was saying, you can be seen to support a party, not because of the airtime you give them, but because the policies they stand for example, are what the station stands for. So that the support is more about the issues rather than the individuals, you see. So that was missing. Look at Mbere North, Kaspul, look at Olkalau, it was the same. Malaba, it was just about the parties, the UDA versus Kenya Kwanza versus, and we felt in Dikir, there are almost more than 10 candidates again, but we only heard about the two candidates, DCP and UDA. So are we being fair? There were lady candidates, there were youth candidates. Nobody gave them a fair chance to be heard, even to be listened. So that is a major gap that came, that we are still stuck on personalities rather than on issues that would. Sometimes look at it, even a senator candidate or aspirant is saying how he will bring roads, he will bring. But you look at the functions of a senator, is there any function for her or him to bring a road or water? But we never probe, we never ask, because politicians have known once they come and say, I'll bring water, I'll bring, even those whose mandate does not even. So that's still like the interrogation of issues. Like the other day, I was seeing a story on what, anyway. But you can see that lack of focus and probing, interviewing skills, a lot of, in fact, we're discussing at the council, and we noticed that nearly 70% of the journalists who will be covering these elections, 2027, is their first time. So obviously, that already gives you a gap. For one day, there's a mistake that was done here on the station, and I was calling the editor. The name Victor Sura is an intern. You see, those things will come. Once that mistake is done, much as internally we understood some of these people need holding of a hand, mentoring, but a mistake has already been done. And I see a number of mistakes media houses are doing. Push kidogo, unapata ni there's no leadership. Check weekend when senior editors are not working. Most of the editors are not working on weekends. So there's and it's weekend when politics is at high when public rallies. So when we are leaving sometimes people without support, without mentality to handle such, is how we are getting some of this message. Because at Wanajunta, but surely an experienced journalist wouldn't have allowed such a thing. You see, so that's already again that mentorship that we have allowed. The youth who are joining the newsroom, we are not giving them support. You are telling them, waenda wachomeke ndio waone kukava election si rahisi. You see, so you are punishing somebody for lack of. He just came from college. What he needs is more briefing and debriefing. A lot of us, you saw even on Lukau, we still have a case where, again, journalists also divided themselves. The issue of safety and protection of journalists is a critical thing that we are going as it is today, and with this zoning thinking and what, a lot of journalists will be exposed to dangers because where when a politician says msiangalie ama mkiona hapa reporters wa TV47 fanya, you know, people will just go for journalists, and it happened in this country. We are seeing that. We had cases of journalists being beaten in Mbere, Katipul. We had journalists in now Kalau. Journalists are becoming victims in any of this, either being harassed, equipment broken, and so we are asking media houses, as you dispatch, as you prepare, as you make election prepare, are you thinking about the safety of your journalists? Basic things like insurance, insuring equipment, and there are insurance companies that are giving very good rates. You can insure your staff, even for just a year, because they will be heightened safety issues against especially field-based journalists. I mean, either from police, political goons, and others. So these are issues that need for people to look at. We still see the gap around gender issues, that our politics is still, even media, still very male-dominated. That a lot of stories, look at even those things that in the movie was showing me, the whole newspaper is men, you know. So again, the sensitivity, the deliberate affirmative action by media for people with disability, for youth, to also to appear. Their discussions seem not to be a priority. Yet most of the journalists are youth. I mean, but we don't see this deliberate thinking around. Now there's a national conversation coming up. How many youths are being involved in the discussion ahead of that? So you see that a lot missing. These parties, how many youths, how many people with disability are we seeing anywhere in these rallies, for example? It's just the normal male domination, and that was coming out again. The issue of the lack of day two stories, follow-ups. That we do a story, a very good story day one, tomorrow is forgotten. We have much as they're too much, but there's some public interest stories that need follow-up, that need a day two story, you know, so that then what were the nuances, what were the issues? It helps a lot, but when we are just stuck, the interrogation, if this candidate was in party A, for example, stole CDF money. Now, if he moved to Party B, does he now become clean? You know, the interrogation, we seem to forget so fast about some of these. So that if we came here and around our discussion, does it make me just good because I moved from Part 1 to Part 2?
You mentioned something about journalist safety and media safety, as of course as we continue to give coverage, but that we see some media houses, you know, being denied opportunities and chances to cover some government initiatives or, you know, presses. Then what do you say about that as a council when media is denied coverage? It's
wrong and professional and warranted, because in the database of press freedom violations that we compile, denial to access of information is the leading now violation, that people are denied information based on very weird thinking. It's wrong because those parties and leaders who are telling us rule of law, social justice, when you deny a journalist access to information, one, you are denying their right to a livelihood, because there's a constitution that under the Employment Act, anybody has a right to gainful employment. So if you deny a journalist to access information, you have denied him employment, income, because that's how journalists are paid, by doing articles. So if you deny them information, then it means that person will not be paid. Right to security, right to life. You know, they have all these things. Journalists, away from now the journalistic provisions that access to information, Article 34, 35, they are there, that access to information, especially from public agencies, is not a favor. Article 35 says, and then the Access to Information Act of 2016 says, a journalist. And remember, Kenya borrows from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 19, that by virtue of you being a human being, not even a journalist, you have a right to access information, exchange information. And media is the platform, a bigger platform where people get information, people get to get. So when you deny them, you are denying, by extension, voters, citizens to get information. Article 19 of the CCPR, International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, which again Kenya is a signatory, says that you must allow your citizens and people to exchange information, to access information. Article 9 of the African Charter for Human and People's Rights, which then now Article 33, 4, 5 borrow from. So there's every reason. And now there's a commission for justice. So Media Council has made a public statement to that effect that people, it's wrong to deny any journalist, whether you think they are aligned to other political parties, to access information. It's a right, a constitutional right, that journalists are allowed to cover. And even now, as public officers, if an institution denies you information, an officer, don't take it personal. There's a whole commission for administrative justice, the ombudsman, and they're the one who are implementing the Article 35. Write a letter, call you seeking information, and they will help you. And they have been doing a very good job helping people get. Challenge is that most of us journalists were also very informal. We never want to be formal. If you ask information from Media Council and they deny, write a letter to CAJ, the Commission for Administration, and they will help you get that information. They have done it. Alan Nam just got some information on Shah, and others, Lempa got information. And it's happening. Just that we need to internalize the access to information process, that if you ask information for a public institution or a private institution that does work of public nature, Safaricom and others, then formally write and seek for that information. Don't stop at DC Amekata, I'm a Victor Amekata. You know, that's not my office, that's a public institution. So let's also formalize to use the access to information provisions in our Act to demand and ask for a push. Many of us give up, but patience is a virtue in journalism. That sometimes, some of us, when we were in news desk, you could chase a story for 3 to 6 months. Because the story is the story. It's not about frustration is part of the work. And I have repeated here, journalism is the most dangerous job in the world. It's reported. It's not a red carpet job. But those who want to be soft in the sense, but it also needs strategy and courtesy. That sometimes you don't get stories by fighting, but you get stories by sources. A number of us, when we are joining newsroom, you are told your biggest resource is your network, no sources. You only look for story. If I'm looking for the governor, I can't get him. Can I use the driver? Can I use the bodyguard? Can I use an MCA that is close to them? Because if you understand those networks, a governor must have an MCA he is close to, related to, especially these nominated ones. You know, so there's a person, if you are looking for them. But a number of us, 354 numbers that are here, the Safaricom numbers allowed, is all your classmates, your roommates. There's nothing outside that relates to journalism. So when you are doing a story, you have nobody to call. Unabaki tu kwa duru za kuaminika. You know, you are writing fiction. But networks, the biggest journalists that have made it, ask your CEO, Mwenda Njoka, is sources. Because journalists don't write fiction. They write stories according to sources. If you have no, after work, where do you network yourself? After here, you go home. Tomorrow, you are here. In the morning, home. How do you make your sources? You have journalists here, TV47, who tell you they are your parliamentary reporter, but they have no single number of NMP. So when they are doing a story in parliament, where do they get information from? Is from the WhatsApp group, because court reporters, parliamentarians, they all have this WhatsApp group, so some information is posted. You must invest in sources on how to look for credible information, and especially in this era of misinformation, disinformation, if you don't have critical sources that you can get breaking news all over on Facebook, but the ability to have somebody to confirm them. You know, IBC has done this. Do you have a source at IBC that you can quickly... during our days in the newsroom, we used to put the diary, the assignment book. We would write all numbers of critical people in the country, so that anybody doing a story, even if you are not there, nobody was owning a source. The source is for the newsroom. So the numbers would be put there, so that if you are doing a story on IBC, you could easily get the numbers there. Nowadays, people even hide. At huyo ni source wangu. Uko na source gani? When they track you from TV47, huyo mtu namba yako utakuwa nayo. So sources are not this egoistic thinking that I have my sources. how do you own a source? So the ability to build credible network of sources, networks in political parties, networks in government, is part of what makes you a brilliant journalist. It's not just the ability to write or interview people here.
Speaking of misinformation, and we also have AI coming up, which has also been mentioned as one of the things that journalists should be on the lookout for, as we practice this career. So what would you say is the biggest threat to election reporting, looking at how AI has been presented to us as journalists?
AI is not a big challenge. AI is an enabler for journalists to do work. It's people just understanding that AI is an enabler, it's a tool. It's not replacing journalists, but it's making the work of a journalist a bit easier. And the bigger thing is we have guided, and there's a book that the Media Council have produced on the use of AI in the newsrooms, the guidelines, and they're saying AI, just like any other technology, just like during the days of our forefathers, rumor mongering, salons, those are all kinyosis, are all sources of rumors. But once you get that information, go and verify. You must, and that's why now we are helping newsrooms to put up fact-checking desks, tools to help you verify information. The bigger bit is to the verification. The bigger challenge is misinformation. It's not the AI, because there are people who are positively using AI for good work. And we say AI is not replacing a journalist. You can use AI to gather information, to do it. But then as a human being, you now own the information. You edit and remove the information that you own the story. You don't, you saw it during Tanzania, one of our newspapers even forgot to delete where they had asked AI who is Samia Suluhu, and it has, that's just laziness. Because the AI had already given you the info. The journalist just needed now to sit down and use that info to write now the story. Because you have already used AI, it has given you data. But do the work. So AI is not replacing you. AI is just a tool, just like Google search, to help you gather information, but you must own the source. So the biggest challenge we are having is misinformation and information manipulation. That you get information, then it's then manipulated so that it doesn't say. But AI in itself is not a threat to anybody. It's a tool to help you do your work. You are now able, you can search for results from Marsabit and get. It's so easy. When, for example, you are polling agent or a reporter from Busia sends and says, it's only 12,000 people who have voted, you have the capability to use those tools to search and say, but Busia last time they voted 30,000. Why is it 12? It can help you now verify that information. So it's a tool to help you do your work, but it's not a tool to replace you. So it's not a threat to anybody. But when it's now people using information generated by AI, return to sender, cut and paste, you just go online search and you don't add anything, that's then a threat. If you get information using AI and manipulate it to suit the media house or yourself during your interview, then that's wrong. To use AI to get information that you then don't verify. Because how does AI work? AI gets information from other people. It doesn't write itself. When you go to AI, Gemini and search, it will bring you, if you ask it what is Lake Victoria, AI did not know. It will get information according to whoever wrote that information. There's somebody who wrote something on Lake Victoria, so they pick. So if that person lied in the original information, then AI just transmits the same thing. Have you ever searched yourself on AI and asked who is Anne? I'm
going to do that today. But I want
try it, you will see.
Absolutely, I'm going to do that today. But I'm worried about print media using AI. For example, AI-generated photos of leaders, especially photos that are in the public, but then they opt for AI-generated.
There's one media house, and we have had a very long discussion with them over that. One, they did not even look at the guidelines, what the code says about use of AI. Because if we are going, the code does not ban. You can use a photo of but say that this is an AI-generated photo. This clause. One, I know they are trying to use that because they are not paying their photographers. Which is a very wrong, lazy strategy. But the guidelines say very well where you have. It's not journalistic. Look at even the 2-3 photos. One of the newspapers has used AI the last 2 days. You saw them, the president, Sifuna, and you can see there's no humanity. You know Sifuna, you know the president, you look at that photo and say, "Hey, gazette kweli iko serious." You know, it's leading to lack of credibility and trust in that newspaper simply because of using AI. Because I know, and the first time I checked, I was having a discussion with the editor, saying, "Naona kama tumeadapt," but you are asking them, AI, we have said it many times, does not have the ability to bring the human face in a story. Humanity is not there. AI has no emotions. AI, you know, so that when you are using those photos, and you saw those photos, the president and Sifuna, the last headlines they had, you can see, unafikiria ni wagonjwa wamefura, you know, and you are saying, but I saw the president just the other day, or Sifuna, I saw him, he doesn't look like this. So do I trust that newspaper anymore? You see, you start saying, na hii gazeti ya fulani kweli inakaa si. So you see, you start losing trust, and even readers from that who think somebody has mimicked your newspaper. You see, but this disclosure is a requirement, even global standards. If you have used AI, a photo, you must disclose that this is AI generated. That's the professional bit.
But there's this debate to remove the requirement for the IEBC to live stream polling station results. As the council, where do you sit with that?
We go back to the political part, the Elections Act, and they provide, it's a constitutional experience. There's the minor KI case, and the case people have gone to court, and this thing has been ruled on. So this idea, IBC said they are not the ones behind that. That's what they said. We had a discussion, and they said it's Parliament that is trying. But obviously, that's a very misadvised move in the current era, that while people are going for more openness, transparency, and accountability in electoral processes, that you would want to stop such. It's not a move that is consistent with the openness, with fairness and accountability. So I'm sure we had a discussion on IBC, and they said they're not the ones who put in that. And I'm sure elsewhere people will go to court, including maybe journalistic institutions, to challenge that, because that then will take us back 100 years again. We had made serious strides in terms of openness in our elections. You know, so when again you start going back, then because there is also attempt around changing the access to information regulations. Again, also very funny provisions, which might not be. The country has moved too far that when you start behaving in a particular way, then people are wondering, huyu mtu anaishi wapi? That one, obviously, Media Council can't support because we push for more openness. We push for journalists to be allowed to get in part of the MOU that the Kenya Media Sector Working Group signed with IBC was around allowing access to information, access to data, access to what IBC is doing. So, and part of the bigger project we are launching next week in Nakuru, the election countdown is 12 months to elections. And part of it is the openness in a big way, the training of journalists, the launch of the election guidelines. I mean, that will be happening. And IBC has been invited. We also have an MOU with IBC, and part of it, IBC is putting up, by the way, an information, a media hub at the office, where journalists can go and get frequent updates on elections. We are allowing our the Media Council has media hubs across a few counties. We are allowing journalists to use those, and IBC staff, especially the regional staff, to go and give information to journalists, so that there's frequent uninterrupted flow of information on key priority areas. So one, we will have a big media center, also a media council, an information source. And much of the information will become from IBC and the political party, because those are now the key people, the information journalists need preparation. So that will be the bigger election preparedness project. We will have editors, even your own editors, to come. We will be signing the commitment. All media house leadership will be asked to sign a commitment that they will follow those guidelines, which will obviously now will be followed with massive trainings of journalists on elections. A minimum of 4,000 to 10,000 journalists to be trained. Accreditation we must enhance. We now have a relationship with IBC. If you apply for an accreditation from IBC, they access Media Council's database to check if we are an accredited journalist. So that is happening. Train of trainer. We'll pick maybe one or two from here, we train properly, who will then be training the others here, because obviously Media Council cannot train all journalists or media houses. But we'll pick from leading institutions, KUJ, Editors Guild, all, they will give us a few people to train, then who will then train the others. In the media houses, you will give us, but there are some media council will do big focus, including on gender, the issue of AI you have mentioned, live transmission, the issue of safety and protection of journalists, the issue of responsible, conflict-sensitive reporting will be the key issues in the training. So be ready to be trained and learn. We don't just want to come here to tick a box that we train the TV47 guide, but they are not applying what we taught them. So we hope that you guys are open to learning. We are not saying you don't know anything, but we are saying there are also a few things that have changed. The electoral laws, the AI are new things, user-generated content are new things that we need to help journalists. Obviously borrowing from other countries that have already, we observed the election in other countries. And so how, for example, the issue of fact-checking, we are forming a network of fact-checkers for newsrooms so that the situation room where all newsrooms have access, that information, somebody can throw information and you quickly check. And that's why once you start the election reporting desk, your team leader there or will be part of that team so that you can easily get correct information.
You know, I was looking at my phone and I've seen a question that has come in here, that if elections are won through narratives, not manifestos, who holds more power in 2027? Politicians or the media that amplifies them? This is from Kelvin and is commenting from X.
Thanks. And that's the question, that if media has a bigger role in the elections, and that's why we are saying if we reduce ourselves to mere pipelines, just passing information given by politicians without interrogating, without contextualizing, then the politician will have a bigger say in the election than the media. But if media decided, which we expect you to do, to be professional, to interrogate issues, to bring history, to bring contexts, then it's the media, because a politician will say whatever they say, but it will come here as a gatekeeper. You will check it against other information, against what they said 2 days ago, against what they are doing, against what they promised in the manifesto, so that then when you are interviewing them against what they said, not merely the statements they are making. If you allow that, then politician will be the deciding factor. But if media houses were, and which you expect them to, go through, for example, interviewing skills. Somebody comes here for 1 hour, and by the time they leave, there's nothing you have asked. You are just saying, ndio mheshimiwa, ndio, vile umesema ndio mheshimiwa. You are just endorsing statements. Are you helping the media? No. And it doesn't mean that you are hostile. You can be gentle, you will be gentle as interviewing skills require that you are gentle, but you will be tough with your questions, simply because you are prepared again. That lack of preparation shows a major issue, and we are requesting, as we form the election days or research days, they help you in the morning to get that a victor is coming. What have they helped you prepare so that you ask relevant questions? Because one person also, you started the show in the morning. You can't do everything. So the issue of teamwork, the issue of support to you, that people quickly help you prepare what Victor had said last week, so that you engage from an informed point of view, because you are not a jack of, you don't know everything. But many times we leave our hosts alone with guests. So Victor ametoka, media, mwingine amekuja, food security, mwingine amekuja, you can't know everything. So that ability to have a strong support team, a network of your colleagues who then also are part of it, they are texting you, they are SMSing you, can you ask him this question, becomes part of how we improve the work. It is not one person's work. It's everybody's. If you are hosting a guest here, it's TV47, it's not you as a person. So what other support is the station giving you in terms of giving you information to engage that guest to get the best out of them?
Great. There's another one here. How should journalists handle ethnic hostility or personal attacks while on assignment, especially when they are perceived through the lens of their tribe instead of their profession?
It's a challenge. Your name betrays you, has been here before, and which we will be having also a discussion with actually we have already signed an MOU with the registered political party. And part of the discussion was here before I came in was the same. What do we do about these people who consistently just harass journalists, you know? So we're engaging to have a focal point at the police through the Kenya media sector. We are working on a national mechanism for safety and protection of journalists, where we'll have even including a fund to help people like KUJ go to court and sue. Because now individual, some of the people who beat journalists are known, whether goons or example, like a police officer who threw a tear gas at a journalist in Central Police Station on his private part. You know, this person is known. and nothing happened. We have written to the ODPP and the Inspector General that a person in a police station in a public place, unless somebody was causing chaos or something, but why do you throw a tear gas at somebody? You know, and very deliberate at his private parts. I mean, that's very intentional. So we are setting up that, so there will be the trainings of journalists on that. But journalists, some of these things are also not taught in schools. That sometimes you have to, even as we give this a protection, as we engage police, but sometimes ukifika kwa field, kwa ground, na akili ya kuzaliwa. We have gone to do stories, for example, within Muslim community. And because of jailing, you sometimes have to put on a buibui and what, so that then you jail and do your story and move on. Yeah. You see, sometimes it's adaptability as a journalist, that you go to an environment where you find this is this, and you have to play. Some level, it will reach a stage when you go to the ground and there's hostility to you or to TV47, then your reporter has to use another colleague to get that story. It's not a life and death matter, because you will fight, you lose your life, and then so some of these things are adaptable. It's not acceptable. Media Council does not support any journalist being harassed or denied information simply because of their name or where they come from. But where it happens, journalists must also know now to be alive and to work knowing that the environment is hostile. While Media Council, KUJ, are doing everything to engage the security agencies to do that. That's why we're talking about even the Media House getting a discussion with insurance companies to ensure their journalists, to ensure equipment. But some people are just rogue. You know, the impunity. There are people here who are just like that. And journalists must know the tools of trade. That this work sometimes needs... remember, like safety, we say, like you now, you work hours, very early hours. When you are looking for a house where to stay, in where you stay, you must check where there is next to the road and where safety is there. Much as the house is yours, you choose, but you are aware that you leave for shifts at weird hours. Yeah. So when you are looking for a house, that must be a consideration, that given my job shifts, I must look for a house where this can happen. You don't go and look for a house deep in the estate where you can't get out. You see, so some of this dressing, my dress is your choice. But if we went now to a meeting today with your green, the people will think you are DCP. So you see, there's an environment start determining some of the things you do, even as the clothes you wear, where you stay, much as they don't tell you directly, but they start determining. So the issue of safety also, that's the issue, that you must already be sensitive about the tribal and that is in the country, and you can just be a victim without your intention. So the ability to what is called risk assessment, that journalists must have the ability to analyze the risks.
Read the room.
Exactly. That if TV47, our reporter was harassed here last week because they think we are this. Again, next week, we don't just send there and you know, utaumizwa. Those is wrong, it's against the law, but practically it's happening.
There's a follow-up question on the issue of live stream polls, and he's asking, how would that potential scrapping or provision of live streaming of election results affect media coverage of presidential elections?
It will affect, including senatorial, women rep, because once they block that you can't get those, it will have a huge... And Kenya had a history before they introduced that provision, that live streaming is allowed. So why are we taking back, want to take back to a history we learned that was bad, we improved, then we go back. And it has worked. In the last two elections, 17, 22, it worked. So why are we fixing something that is not... The bigger thing is, and to me when I saw like in Dikir, a lot of the results that were being streamed by the media was on UDA portal. So the bigger responsibility on IBC to be ahead of time. That if they are going to be the first source of information, they must be ahead of time. They must invest in their portal so that the information. But obviously it will have, sometimes it might not even have an effect, but the thing is perception. Because remember, we talk about credible, fair, and acceptable elections. Results. They must be, if people don't accept the results, it's why we go to 2007, 1990, the election violence, because people have not accepted. So if we bring that aspect where people can have an inch of not accepting the election, whether it's real or not, or imagined, then we go back to post-election violence. But if you allow, Kila mtu sio walikuwa wana stream election, kila mtu aliona. Sasa kama waka alishindwa, si ameshindwa tu uliona. You see, and there will be the acceptability bit.
There's a special one for you here. Has the Media Council of Kenya been captured by the government?
How will it be captured? I have never understood. Media Council is a public institution, fully funded by the government, you see, but independent in terms of operation. So by virtue of that, Media Council must have a relationship, because even the funds that run the institution comes from, but doesn't mean it's captured, you see. People must, because I've never seen the work the Media Council does where government will have interest to capture it in the first place. To train journalists, to regulate journalists, what will be the interest of, and people are right to have those thinking, but we have worked at the council and we have never seen this government capture. The only big relationship with government is that Media Council is funded by the government, and just like other independent institutions, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and others, which also get funding from a government, we do our work. We have released so many statements that put government on spot, so many statements. If we were captured, I wouldn't think we will be there. So those fears are understood as a Kenyan, but I can tell you for free, there's no way government is interested even in capturing Media Council, you know, because we don't, what will interest government in capturing the Media Council? You know, so there's no capture.
When you say you'll be training media, and you said we hope that we are ready to learn, what will you be using to measure the success of the election reporting guidelines that you'll be launching next week?
Obviously, there will be, we have set up, which has been there, it's not the first, media, we have a very big media monitoring system and team that monitors media houses coverage, and every 2 weeks or often we'll be releasing results. Well, we do monitoring, we release which will be what we are calling stakeholder, which will call your editors and yourselves and share. Some of them will be sent to media houses individually without obviously making noise, but many of them will be public engagements. So we are calling them newsroom leaders feedback, and if we get trends from TV47, we will share with yourselves, because our bigger thing is you to improve. When you do good work, we're also happy, you know. So we will be giving very frequent feedbacks on what the trends we are seeing on the various media stations, radio, TV, newspapers. Some will be, like I mentioned, bigger groups of people, and we discuss. Some will be directed to individual media houses. And obviously we have a regulatory unit that will be sending you letters called notice to show cause. So those will be there. Yeah. Yes, but obviously we don't think it will reach that level. We believe that people will, it's good for you to observe the rules and regulations and do your work.
Right. So what are the stakeholders that you hope to bring together come next week, and will the public be, you know, able to communicate or to participate in this process?
Yes, the launch of the election guidelines, obviously those are specific things, because why would I call a member of the public to come and see an election guideline? This is purely for professionalism. So we have invited editors, I told you, including here, media owners. We have invited IBC, the Register of Political Parties, National Cohesion, police, journalists themselves, civil society, religious leaders. But obviously, because it's being launched in a place, we must manage numbers because of costs. Obviously, you can't, we can't manage like State House to bring 5,000 together. We are a small institution. But that will be a big group from all over the country, obviously selected, who are relevant to the work we are doing. But majorly journalists, editors, to come also and sign the commitment that they will observe those things. So. So that's the bigger number, but it will be open, like you have already offered. TV47 can give us live coverage, we will appreciate, so that a lot of people then know about what is happening.
All right, so you're carrying TV47 breakfast to Nakuru?
We are hoping so.
Great. What will be your parting shot with everything we've talked about this morning? What will you say to the public and to the media? That
the media is working to prepare itself to cover the election. There are professional challenges that are there. We're not saying they will be perfect, but with the thinking and the plans that have been put in place, media will do its best, and Kenyans just need to trust that we have some of the best journalists around. the Africa, and they will give their best. We have some of the best laws, unlike other countries. That the willingness is there. There's no bigger thinking about blocking media and a few people here and there, but there's free space. The media just needs to be responsible, professional, and proactive, and think seriously about joint productions so that we efficiently cover the whole country, give Kenyans the best on these elections, using the little resources we have.
All right, thank you so much, Bire, for making time for us to have this conversation. It's very timely and very important. Victor Bire is the Director, Media Training and Development at the Media Council of Kenya, speaking to us about the launch of the election reporting guidelines that will be taking place on the 10th of August in Nakuru.
14th.
That will be next week. Okay.
14th.
14th.
Friday.
Right. That will be still next week?
Next week,
Friday.
Yeah.
All right. It will be launched on the 14th of August in Nakuru, and it aims to ensure that the media covers the 2027 general election in a professional, fair, balanced, and responsible way. That's it for this conversation. We shift gears now and talk matters tech. Freddie will be back with that conversation, talking about revolutionizing food and nutrition through tech. Do stay right here. You're watching TV47 Breakfast. My name is Annie Odida. Good morning.
Pleasure.